John Waters called me the Henri Langlois of exploitation cinema, and I thought, okay, I'll accept that because it's John Waters. So that's what I am.
Okay, we have no dead bodies, no breaths, one fist fight.
I was briefly the film critic for the Dallas Times-Herald, and I hated the Hollywood mainstream movies. And I loved these movies that played only at the drive-in.
Arise, my wives.
Because I'm talking about stuff like, you know, Graveyard Tramps, Swinging Waitresses, The Grim Reaper, you know, movies like this that only played the drive-ins. Really all I wanted to create was a populist film critic, somebody who loves the movies of the people. And so that was the idea, and I started this column called Joe Bob Goes to the Drive-In, and it became syndicated, but it was always controversial, it was always getting canceled, it was always getting kicked out of this newspaper or this town or whatever. There was an organization in Tupelo, Mississippi called the American Family Association that did a pretty constant crusade against my column even existing. A guy named Donald Wildman, Reverend Donald Wildman of Tupelo, Mississippi. He was my nemesis. I was on a couple of panels with him, and he claimed that, you know, these movies cause violence.
Get me out of here!
I said, well, Donnie, you better be afraid then, because you're sitting next to a guy who's watched 47,000 of them, and you know I could go off the deep end at any moment and start wailing on you. And he laughed, and I said, but you know I'm making a point here, Reverend. You know, if it really causes violence, wouldn't I be the test case? Shouldn't you be hooking me up and checking me to see what I'm going to do tomorrow? Because I may be the guy.
He becomes Captain Hook, children's television evangelist.
So I put together this segment that we did for 2 or 3 years, I can't remember how long, on The Daily Show called God Stuff. People don't know there's something like 1,700 hours of original religious programming per week. And so I had these friends who in Dallas who have a religious watchdog organization. They watch all this stuff, trying to catch these guys on consumer fraud.
But a Christian reaches for the offense because he's hurt.
And so they were showing me these blooper reels of all this amazing stuff that's on religious TV that you never see because you would have to watch the whole 1,700 hours a week. And I said, you know, this is like talk soup for religious TV. This is great.
Hi, I'm Billy Ray Wetnap from Pest Boys Exterminators.
Well, I never really sought out acting jobs, but once I was on TV for so many years, you know, people would call up and want me to do acting.
Now she is armed with nothing but her Verminator spray gun filled with our new poison.
I went out on some auditions, and so I got a role in Casino, you know, a couple of scenes with Robert De Niro.
Dang, you are right, Mr. Rothstein.
I caused the whole collapse of that casino empire when I get fired by Robert De Niro in the movie.
You might regret this, Mr. Rothstein.
I'll regret it even more if I keep you on.
This is not the way to treat people.
And I got a role in Face Off.
Well, happy day, it's Castor Troy.
John Travolta in Nick Cage's body
Get his boots,
kicks me in the stomach and escapes from prison. People want a nasty redneck or a stupid redneck. They call me.
Y'all remember that book, The Golden Turkey Awards by the Medved brothers about the worst movies in the history of the world? Both of these movies tonight made the list.
I did a show called Joe Bob's Drive-In Theater on the Movie Channel.
And as you can see, it's off the scale.
And so I was on late night on the Movie Channel for 11 years. And then I was off the air for 4 months, and I went right back to work on TNT.
I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and tonight we're gonna party like it's 1999.
Doing pretty much the exact same show, but it was called Monster Vision on TNT, and of course I had more restrictions.
If I tell you what peakerism is, my show will probably get canceled.
And then I'm doing the show a third time on Shudder TV, which is a streaming service. Actually, I was amazed. They came to me and they said, "You want to do a show?" And I said, "Yeah, what kind of show?" The exact same show you did on Monster Vision. I said, "You can't do that. You can't repeat TV from 20 years ago." And they said, "Oh, well, that's what we want." And so that's what we're doing.
We're having a dusk to dawn to dusk to almost dawn again marathon called
The last drive-in.
They were expecting to have a small nostalgia crowd. The show was supposed to start at 9 p.m. At 9 p.m., all the servers crashed. You know what happened, Joe Bob? You broke the internet. You broke all the Shudder servers. You broke everything.
Friday, March 29th, opening night of The Last Drive-In, the series on Shudder, starring me, Joe Bob Briggs, doing more of that freaky stuff you love.
And then we're starting a series March 29th, double feature weekly series.
Directed by Joe Bob Briggs, produced by Joe Bob Briggs. I'll be working the camera, I'll be working the sound. Special effects by Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah, I do a lot of deep dives into history.
By that beloved man, setting up there on that beloved horse.
That's actually the show I'm doing here tonight. It's the whole history of rednecks in cinema, where you learn a lot that you didn't know you needed to know until I told you. That's the second 15 minutes of redneck videos. Well, that's the secret of the show. You got to watch the whole show. It takes 2 hours to explain how rednecks saved Hollywood. Hollywood as it exists today would not exist were it not for rednecks.